Proud to be a hometown farmer is sponsored by Baumgars.
Dennis Gallagher farms down around Hornick, Iowa. He had some of his land flooded after that snow melt and rain back in March. We're visiting his farm this week for Proud to be a hometown farmer. He says he spent a lot of time and money to get his land to where it is now after the flood.
The water here was right where I am standing. It was up to past my knees.
Dennis Gallagher took this picture in the middle of March, the same field he's standing in now, underwater. Flooding from the West Fork of the Little Sioux River like he's never seen before at his home place near Hornick. He's working the ground now, not with a planter like he usually would in May, but a disc, breaking up fields, hardened after being submerged. And it's taken the better part of a month and a half to get this far.
It's been a slow process.
Floodwaters washed junk onto the land after hauling that out. Then it's time to talk corn stalks.
Corn stalks at anywhere from 18 inches deep to, maybe a few inches.
Dennis chopped up some of the sediment and debris. He had to hire a bulldozer to clear some fields, too, pushing those stalks to the edges of the land where they're still piled. If he hadn't, he'd probably have to forget about planting this season.
They just provide an insulation factor, the corn stalks that have kept the moisture in there, as well as the ground was even still frozen here just 10 days ago because of the insulation factor of those corn stalks.
That water washed corn and bean stalks already on the land away, and fertilizer Dennis put down before spring, too.
We also have lost some phosphorus and potash that we put on over the winter that we planned on having.
Even if the planted corn or beans don't amount to much this year, the work still has to be done, at least salvaging the land for next year's crop.
Sometime this year we'll be doing some fertility soil samples to see what nutrients we've lost in the soil.
But until then, Dennis is hopeful.
Maybe we'll get the right amount of rainfall, maybe the right amount of sunlight, and it'll all work out in the end.
Well, Dennis says insurance won't reimburse him for the lost fertilizer and phosphorus that washed away, but he wants to spread the piles of corn stalks sitting on the edges of his field back onto the land after this year's crop is out, hoping it'll decompose, act like a fertilizer for next year's crop. Now, if you think of a farmer you'd like to see us feature on Proud to be a Hometown Farmer, let me know. You can nominate someone on our website, SiouxlandNews.com. You can always email me, too. My email address is jheller@SiouxlandNews.com.
Proud to be a hometown farmer is sponsored by Baumgars.
You've probably seen the heavy equipment on the roads. It's harvest season in Siouxland. How are the crops doing this year, especially those planted in spots that were underwater early in the spring? We're heading down to Hornick, Iowa to find out this weekend. Proud to be a hometown farmer. The combines are out. It's harvest time in Siouxland. We got up with Dennis Gallagher, moving his combine into position, getting ready for a day of work. It was too early in the morning, the crop's too wet to get started yet on this day. Wet, saturated, those have been bookends to the growing year. Here's one of Gallagher's fields this March, completely underwater. He had to push corn stalks and debris away. Once it was planted, the corn there grew pretty well, though, really greened up this summer. And now?
The corn that's there is fairly good.
Some of those stalks are still there, but Gallagher thinks where he was able to plant, the fields to do average or slightly above when it comes to yields. Mother Nature really cooperated.
Really, we had a great month of June. Good conditions. Corn and beans were growing very well.
He's working on harvesting soybeans right now. A few rainy days put him behind.
Extremely saturated soils this fall.
And honestly, he's worried about another rain. If that happens, it could shift his after-harvest schedule back by months.
We're so saturated right now that any rainfall at all will keep us from doing some fall tillage to fertilization, moving and spreading those stalks across the soil.
With a dry week, though, he'll take what he can get. And for now, the combine and tractor will wait for the right time to harvest. Well, Dennis says he's about 10 days behind so far this harvest. The Iowa Department of Agriculture says corn is 18 days behind last year, about 2 weeks behind average. Beans are 9 days behind last year, 11 days behind average. Well, if you know any farmers you'd like to see in the spotlight here and Proud to be a Hometown Farmer, get in touch with me. Nominate a farmer you'd like to see us feature here. Our web address is, of course, SiouxlandNews.com. My email address is jheller@SiouxlandNews.com.